Like there was no real rhyme or reason why he was violent.
I think this is where the writing breaks down.
How crazy is the
This
scene?
is where the writing breaks down.
How crazy is the scene when the two cops go to the psych ward?
Oh god,
And
that
they have to
was
shoot
horrible.
their way out.
That was the
I was
longest
like,
scene.
can this be any fucking longer
I
and more
know.
annoying?
Then they separate from each other. Like, hey, I'll see you later.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll meet you back at the
Aren't
car.
you both leaving?
And then in the middle of a mental hospital, you hear like he just starts shooting his way out of this mental hospital.
But then he walks out.
Yeah.
too.
Walks out
It's
totally
just like,
fine.
what?
He just walked slowly the whole time while like all these patients are like grabbing onto him, and he's like, "I don't fucking care. I'm not scared of you."
That's the guy from
Oh,
Airwolf.
man.
He's badass.
Yeah, that
Steve
part-
Garvey is also in this movie. He's very famous San Diego Padre baseball player.
Oh.
I don't remember. I don't know who he was though.
For all you sports fans out there,
That was another part. Just that was one of two parts where the writing breaks down. Was I was like, okay, was the sanatorium always like run by crazy people, even when Gregory went, or was it after he went that it?
no, he's a product of it
He
being
gets the
run by
juice,
crazy people.
the cactus cooler, or the slime in the head, right?
Yeah.
The gack.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. That green stuff. Clint Howard is not scary as much as he just makes me uncomfortable.
Does he?
Was he wearing like a weird piece on his head?
That's pretty much how he looks. All
Or
the
is
time.
that the shape of his head?
That's how he
Because
looks.
they show a scene of him when he's younger and he has like a full head of hair and looks pretty normal.
That had to be a wig. I don't know if you guys ever seen this, but when I was in high school, Clint Howard got a special award from the MTV Movie Awards.
Saw it.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
So, like, MTV Movie Awards used to be cool when I was in high school. I don't even know if they still do it. But they would give these, like, crazy awards out, like Lifetime Achievement for strange things. Like, they gave a Lifetime Achievement to Chewbacca or whatever.
Chewbacca, the Star Wars character.
No, the other Chewbacca.
No, the French philosopher, Chewbacca.
Lauren already made that joke, John. But
They gave one to Clint Howard and because he's had all these like crazy bit roles and like B movie roles and all that, and he took it very, very seriously. So if you watch the speech on YouTube, I think he actually kind of like breaks down crying, like, "Oh, thank you so much for my Lifetime Achievement Award." And,
I need to watch that.
yeah, it's really funny.
Maybe we can put it on our Instagram.
I mean, he's one of those guys that's odd looking, but I think if you see him like at an award show, you're like, you wouldn't think about that. You're like, he's a normal looking guy, you know?
I honestly don't think that I've seen him in anything.
This was, very coincidental that a guy we're all a fan of, I think, Joe Whitford, posted a picture of his like kids on Facebook, the singer for Harley Poe, and Clint Howard apparently knows Joe Whitford in some way, at least through social media, and was like, "That's it, Joe. Like, family's the most important thing," or something like that.
What?
And,
You saw this?
yeah, and then I was like, it said Clint Howard. I was like, what? And I clicked on it, and it's like Clint Howard's Facebook page. It was like, and then Joe was like, "Thanks, Clint." That was weird.
Weird.
He has bit roles in all his brother's movies.
Yeah.
So like he's at the control board in Apollo 13.
Guys, there's so little to talk about in this film that we're on to Apollo 13. Do you guys feel that way?
One thing I like about Apollo 13 is
I mean, I think all of our movies somehow can relate to Apollo 13.
Fuck, are we like done?
We might be done.
Shining Lights, Josh and Mule.
I got
I don't know. I don't ever think about
the police
that.
officer puppet show. It was funny,
That's a good one.
funny, creepy, awesome.
Josh, did we like this film?
Are we going to talk about our top 8 at some point?
That'll be at the end of next episode.
Okay. So
Jumping the gun.
So yeah, save
But just
that.
overall, what did you think? Like, yeah, I enjoyed this. I would watch more of it.
I laughed, but I won't watch it again.
I think Lauren once famously said that she was surprised how much she hated one of our previous films. Like, did you feel that way about this?
No, not at all.
All right.
Because it didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
It was so campy that that's what I enjoyed.
But it wasn't, like, I'm looking at some films to pick for this show, and some of them I feel like are too much of a comedy horror. Like, I mentioned that to my wife, and she's saying, "Oh, you should do Shaun of the Dead." And I was like, that feels too not a horror movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
What does this have? Do you guys see a difference between these?
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
I don't necessarily distinguish between horror and comedy horror because I think there's something about.
Is Shaun of the Dead comedy horror?
Yeah, absolutely. But
If I pick Shaun of the Dead, would you be like, that doesn't belong on this show?
I mean, that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, well, I know you
No,
love-
I'd be fine with it. I'd say, like, because I think there's something about like the tension of being scared and then laughing that works.
Are you scared in that film? I wasn't scared during
Maybe the
Ice-
first time I saw it, there's some like, but now I know, it's gonna
What
be
about
okay. Spoiler alert.
romance horror movies? Are those horror movies?
Does that exist?
No, I wanted to now though.
I thought Ice Cream was romantic with the doggy style pictures. Beautiful.
No, I
The
don't.
poolside.
A, I don't believe you were scared by Shaun of the Dead. Like, that's crazy talk. But B,
What is? I'm not scared. Like, what does that mean? I'm not
scaredy cat.
scared.
Okay, your
Fuck you guys. I'm not scared.
last, I feel like it was Wicker Man that I was saying.
Right.
That didn't scare me. Is it a horror movie? And then you guys all chimed in and said, horror movies don't have to be scary, Lauren, which blew my mind. And I thought about it for like a really long time. And I was like, what is a horror movie if it's not trying to be scary? But I feel
Yeah.
like you're saying the exact same thing. Like Shaun of the Dead is it a horror movie because it's more funny than scary? Makes a horror movie, really, you guys.
no, I think that's a good thing to explore, especially because we're done with this movie pretty much. Yeah, no, I would say this does, I think, if you guys, I've always kind of felt coming into this show that whatever you guys pick, I'll deal with. I might be annoyed if like that's not really a horror movie. Like I think Wicker Man is okay. Even if it wasn't scary. And this movie I kind of watched with ease, where when I watch Lauren's movies, I'm always nervous. So I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like Shaun of the Dead is more just a straight comedy, and
I like how that was your attitude going into this. You're like, I already know I'm going to fucking hate every movie that they pick, and I'll just have to deal with it.
Well, that's how Gabe does things.
well, I think it's so much bitter rage.
Well, I'll tell you where my bitter rage is coming from right now is that Lauren, I think, just made a really good point. She said what makes a horror movie? And in the early stages of planning this show,
Yeah.
yes, we actually plan this show sometimes. We talk about what we want to talk about. I said, hey, we should talk about what makes something scary. What makes it a horror movie? And Gabriel said, haha, that's dumb. Or something like that, to that effect. And now Gabe's like, oh, that's a very interesting question.
Well, we have nothing more to talk about for this episode, John. But no, I don't recall saying that was dumb. But
You and Josh
Maybe
were
it's
both like,
one of-
oh, you're putting too much thought into it.
does John not have so much anger in him?
To you, yes.
John, anytime you have an idea, just tell it to me, and
I
then
will.
I'll say it,
Okay,
and then it'll
good.
be received well.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Let me died. Do you want to say something?
Okay,
This
but
goes back 30 years.
I think, okay. I just want to say real
Yeah,
quick
when I was
that-
1 year old. Go ahead, John. Apparently, I fucked with John when I was 1. Good, Josh. Go ahead.
Oh, man, I don't even know if I want to get into this anymore.
wait, what were you gonna say?
I mean, for me, a horror movie doesn't have to be scary, but it does have to have some sort of horrific situation happening. Like Ice Cream Man, horror. He's killing people, grinding them up, putting them in ice cream. Like, that's horrific.
and that's kind of like what the plot is centered around. So even if it's not scary, as long as the plot is somewhat centered around something horrific.
Yeah, and even Shaun of the Dead, which is overtly a comedy, has parts that, like, he has to kill his own parents in
Right.
that movie. That's horror to me right there.
right.
Well, honestly, after you guys said that, it had never occurred to me, like, because I was really frustrated with, Friday the 13th, because I wasn't scared during that one. And you guys are my only friends who are really into horror movies. Like most of my other friends, and I feel like I grew up with a lot of girlfriends who are like, we never watch horror movies because you assume that you're going to be scared. And I've told multiple friends, like, they're like, oh my gosh, you're watching horror movies. Like, aren't you? I could never do that. I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. And I was like, you guys, most of these movies aren't scary. And they all are like, what? They're not
Right.
scary. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I think people who watch horror movies on a regular basis, like, it's obvious to them, but I don't think it's obvious to the general public, like people who aren't into the genre.
The non-horror people.
Yeah.
Well, I think something from my life that is interesting is that the movie that really messed me up when I was a kid, like kept me awake for months, was Dead Poet Society, because in that movie a kid
I thought you were gonna say The Exorcist.
I know, me too.
in that movie a kid kills himself, and
Oh, yeah.
I had never like even at that movie probably came out when I was like 10 years old, but I'd never considered the idea that like you could kill yourself, and like that whole concept freaked me out. Like probably should have had a child therapist involved. Sleeping on my parents' floor, all
I'm
that.
not saying you bringing this up is inappropriate at all, but in planning for this podcast, I remember John saying like, "Yeah, I can't wait to bring up Dead Poet Society," and I was like, "He does not get the purpose of this show."
But that movie scared me more than any movie I saw as a kid. It's
Yeah.
not a horror movie.
Right? And I was like, John, if you pick Dead Poet Society, I'm gonna be very upset with
Never,
you.
I would never pick it for the
Right.
podcast.
If you want, you can.
Fuck, I hate this guy.
So much rage.
This is why we didn't celebrate Christmas together this year.
Oh, you didn't?
We will. We're first King's Day.
February.
Can't wait. We will next year.
Anyways.
I'm not talking anymore.
Yeah.
I like when you talk, John.
It's the end of the show for me.
Uh-oh.
It's the dumb things you say that keep this show going.
Oh.
He has such a face right now.
No, I don't.
Pressing your buttons. John, do you like me?
No.
You don't like me?
No.
Why not?
I don't,
He doesn't. He's being honest.
you're my brother. I have to like you at some point.
Is this podcast just an excuse for you guys to like have some
Work it out.
therapy?
My wife said this podcast would never work because Gabe and I can't get along.
And I told her that's why it will work.
Yeah, I think me and Lauren, maybe Molly and I had a conversation about how this was going to be a good podcast because it was just going to be John and Gabe fighting the whole time.
But John has more grievances with me than I do with him.
Oh, I want to bring up examples right now, but I don't want to get off on tangents.
Well,
All right, here's a question. Let's get into it. I ordered Ice Cream Man on DVD.
yeah.
Okay. You said, hey, can I get that? And then I found out it was on YouTube, and you said, hey, can I get the disc?
Right.
You were going to New York for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
When did you put that disc in the mail?
Before I left.
You promised?
I watched it that night, that morning, and I put it in the mail.
Because my wife and I were sitting at home, like, waiting for Netflix movies to come in. We're like, I know Gabe took that fucking DVD to New York. And then she was like, well, what did you tell him you needed it? And I remembered our conversation. We was in Long Beach. I pulled up to your house. I handed you the disc. I said, hey, I got vacation coming up. I want to get some movies. Do me a favor, put this in before you go to New York. And your exact words were, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Like, no, man, fuck you. I'm letting you borrow this. You could watch it on YouTube. And your attitude was like, hey, man, don't bother me, even though I'm letting you borrow something of mine.
Which I don't recall saying that. That doesn't sound like something I would say.
It sounds exactly like something
It
you would
does
say.
sound like something
I'll
Thank
see
you,
what I can
Josh.
do. But I do remember I was like, I'm going to watch this tonight and put it in the mail tomorrow because they need this and I want to come through for them, which is exactly what I did.
That doesn't sound like you, but I appreciate it.
Well,
Is this the best episode we've ever had or the worst?
I don't know.
John, you've gone to therapy. Do you ever talk about me?
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, you just outed him.
Yeah.
Well, we can all tell he's, probably. But
Yeah, I'm sure I've talked about you at some point.
why do you hate me so much?
That doesn't mean I hate you. I love you.
You fucking just said you didn't like me.
I love you.
Such a bullshitter. See, you're phony. That's the other problem.
Wow, you're going deeper than I
Okay,
expected this
wouldn't
to
you
go.
be upset if he didn't talk about you in therapy, though? If he's like, I never talked about you.
I would actually be indifferent.
That's how much you have never affected my life.
See, I think indifference
Is worse.
is very Gabe.
Oh.
I'm indifferent to what?
Well, we had a conversation earlier
See, okay,
about.
here's the
we
thing.
We had a conversation earlier about Lemmy dying, and I said,
Yeah.
yeah, it matters. I like punk music, metal music. It matters. Lemmy dies. You're like, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah, well, I'm look, we haven't really in our lives experienced much death.
True.
We don't really have any relatives that have died or close people like that. so the closest thing to like feeling bad about someone dying is like when some celebrity dies. It's in our life on some level, and like, yeah, I told you before this. I had a teacher that when Lou Reed died, he was fucking fed up because everyone was commenting on Facebook, "Oh, R.I.P. Lou Reed," like, and it was like, yeah, okay, like it's been a fucking week, like and it's some weird credit or it's some weird thing that people want to do on social media because they have nothing to say. I think that's what it's more about. It's not indifferent. Like, I didn't know Lemmy. I know people that knew him in the music biz talked highly of him. They're a band that I think is cool. But
who's a celebrity that could die that would hit you hard?
Well, the one that did was Eric the actor.
Eric the midget from Howard Stern show?
Yeah, Eric the actor.
Did you cry?
No.
But you got emotional.
I remember having the thought, this guy died. There was more to do that he had to do. There was, if he had lived for another year, it would have been like more good stuff. You know, I'm just being like, let me record Ace of Spades. So what else do you have to do but die, you know? I'm literally saying that for John's face right now, but
it's weird.
But I mean, Lemmy, Lou Reed, whoever.
Joe Strummer died?
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, but people die, you know.
Okay.
I mean, Joe Strummer fucking died 10 years ago.
Yeah. I don't understand you. We are brothers. We've lived together for 31 years. And I don't fully understand you. I don't get it. I don't know how you wake up and go about life. Like between you waking up and going to sleep, I wonder like what goes through your head. I have no idea. Sometimes I wonder.
I don't know.
At what point do we cut this off?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was gonna redirect the conversation to like social media and people talking about celebrities.
Is that annoying when someone dies and everyone has to comment? And the fact that John was saying, yeah, the show should comment on Lemmy dying was like, why? Like,
well, I had this conversation. Not to get serious,
Go
but
ahead.
with the Paris shootings, and like I was on Facebook with a friend and we were looking, and I was like, fucking everyone is like, everyone feels the need to be like, I'm so sad about Paris. And there's something about that like I understand, and that's what social media is for, is like putting out thoughts. But then there's another side of it that feels very narcissist, like, let me bring this conversation back to me.
Sure.
Like, and I don't know. And same thing happens when celebrities die, where people are like, want to be the first one to say something, want to like make it about them, even though under the guise of like, I have feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm sympathetic or something.
yeah.
So it's hard. I don't want to say no one should ever comment when like a celebrity dies, you know, and I wasn't even aware of Elliott Smith when he died, only after the fact, but I would say that's probably the only celebrity where I'm like, because I was so affected by his music, it's like, man, that guy was so young.
Yeah.
But generally I find it strange when people are like overly affected by someone that they've never met.
Yeah, like I know someone that on social media was like, oh my God, I can't, I've cried so much tonight because Lemmy died. And I was like, really?
That's
like,
a little extreme.
I would hate to be around that, but I'm just wondering how that works, that you cried because some rock star died. Like,
I mean, he was 70. And
Yeah.
with the amount of speed and liquor that he ingested, it's a miracle he made it to 70.
well, I heard he recently did a Marin interview, and he sounds like he's like, he sounds like he's halfway out the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't imagine crying over it, but it's a big loss.
Sounds like you cried a lot, John.
This episode's halfway out the door.
This episode is over.
This is
All
a
right.
good episode, guys.
Got deep.
Listen, I think in the future, if we need to stray from a movie with not much going on, it's all right. Now I know my brother doesn't like me. So.
Damn.
I feel like you should pay Josh and I
To be on this show?
no, for being your guys' therapist.
So many more episodes to go.
Well, that's Ice Cream Man. Overall, I enjoyed this film. Anybody? What's the overall
Didn't we
thumbs
already
up?
say
Yeah,
this?
we already.
No. I don't. Josh.
Josh said he would never watch it again.
Really?
I said I laughed. I liked it, but I'm not gonna watch it again.
I could see myself watching it again. Reedy.
I liked it.
It's a C minus.
C plus. What do you think of that? All right. And for our next film, we have Miss Reedy's going to announce that.
Okay. Well, I feel like I need to balance out the rest of your guys' picks. Like,
What are you balancing? What needs balance?
Okay.
The sex and violence.
Oh no, that's not actually what I was gonna say. Because I feel like I, wanted to get involved with this because I'm like, I need to face my fears. Okay, I need to stop being such a baby when it comes to movies. So that's why I chose Babadook. And the last 2 or 3 movies we've watched, like, I haven't been scared at all. So okay, so.
Who knew Lauren would pick the scariest films that we are encountering?
Well, who knows? I actually don't know if this is going to be scary, but also minor backstory, because we've talked about like our history with horror movies. In high school, I watched The Grudge and remember being terrified of it. So I remember hearing that there was a Japanese version that it was based on that was like even scarier. So I picked that, which is, I don't know how you pronounce it. Ju-on.
I'm so terrified right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Gabe looks physically ill kind of right now.
Oh, come on.
I would say I am scared to watch this movie, but more than anything, I'm relieved as she started to talk about facing her own fears. I was so afraid we were gonna have to watch Ernest Scared Stupid.
No, I'll do that at my own time. Okay. Josh, have you seen
Gabe
this
just
movie?
threw up in the corner. No, I haven't. I actually never saw The Grudge.
I haven't seen The Grudge either.
I never saw it because maybe this is misplaced, but I felt like it was just trying to ride on The Ring when The Ring was big.
Yeah.
But,
and this is from the same maker.
and The Ring is a remake of a Japanese film
Right.
too, I believe.
And
Anyway,
both films.
same director.
Yeah.
Ringu.
Cool. Yeah, Ringu. Okay. Yeah. So I'm excited to see it because this
Or
is,
maybe not.
I'm really nervous, you guys.
yeah, it's just one more thing that I probably should have seen that I haven't, and now I get to check it off. So
Sorry, not the same
Awesome.
director. It said
Okay.
if you like this, you'll like that.
The
Okay,
same director
gotcha.
as Ice Cream Man, maybe?
Right.
No?
Nope.
If only.
Cool.
Well, Lauren.
Good pick, Lauren.
I'm having a similar feeling to when you picked the Babadook, which I ended up loving, but I am kind of like, oh my god, this is one of these weeks.
You
again.
started this podcast.
do you
so,
usually watch them in the daytime to kind of help
honestly, I usually
out
watch
your
these.
situation or
I watch these films that are up 5 a.m,
okay, so
just because that's when
it might be dark out still.
It will be. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you folks next week. Is that we done?
Yeah, send us an email at axebrotherpodcast@gmail.com.
Please order something from bonedust.net.
check out our Instagram, Axe Brother Podcast on Instagram.
And have a lovely week. We'll see you next time.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that sounds good.
Rest in peace, Lemmy.
To the what's Lenny's last name?
Killmaster.
Really? Why don't I Killmaster?
Killmeister, whatever.
To the Killmeister family.
Mister.
Killmister. To the Killmister family. The thoughts and prayers of the Axe Brothers podcast are with you.
Thoughts and prayers, Gabe.
And God bless. And
You want to sign off with the national anthem or what?
I bet you do. Fucking patriot.
Cut in.
All right,
Done.
we'll see you next week.